5 trading days, 2 days of selling, 3 days of buying, 1 Dow record on Thursday, and another one on Friday. And underneath it all, a quieter pattern that almost nobody on the headlines is talking about. This was the week the market kept changing the reason it was moving, and somehow still ended at all-time highs. For the week, the S&P 500 added 0.9% to close at 7,473. That is its 8th straight weekly gain, the longest winning streak since late 2023. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 2.1% to 50,580, closing at record highs on Thursday and Friday. The Nasdaq Composite added 0.5% to 26,344, its 7th weekly advance in the past 8. Healthcare led the sectors, up roughly 3.5%, its best week since November. So how did we get there? Through 3 completely different stories. Monday set the stage. After the previous week's hot inflation data, traders fully priced out any Federal Reserve rate cut for the remainder of 2026. Bank of America said the Fed may not get to cut until the second half of 2027. Stocks fell. Bond yields rose. Tuesday, the long end of the curve reacted. The 30-year Treasury yield spiked to roughly 5.19%, its highest level in nearly 20 years. The S&P 500 fell for a 3rd straight session. Editorial framing across the financial press treated this as a regime change in rates. Wednesday, everything flipped. Oil eased. Tankers transited the Strait of Hormuz. The FOMC minutes from Jerome Powell's final meeting were released, with 4 dissents, the most on a single FOMC vote since October of 1992, and the market shrugged. Stocks snapped the 3-day losing streak. Nvidia reported a clean beat and raise after the close. But in after hours, the stock barely moved. Thursday, the Dow hit its first all-time record of the week. Even as Walmart fell as much as 8% after warning that fuel costs were squeezing the American consumer. Even as Nvidia closed lower despite announcing one of the largest buybacks in its history, an $80 billion share repurchase authority that did absolutely nothing to lift the stock. The catalyst on Thursday was geopolitics. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said there were, quote, some good signs that the war with Iran could be ending. Friday extended the peace hope trade through the bell. A Qatari delegation flew into Tehran in coordination with the U.S. to try to broker a final deal. The Dow set its second record close in 2 days. Steve Sosnick at Interactive Brokers put it cleanly to CNBC, quote, the market is telling you today they're much more concerned that they're going to miss some sort of peace in the Middle East than they are about the risks of going home long over the weekend. That is the quote that captures the entire week. On one level, the read is straightforward. 8th winning week in a row. Records hit. The bull market is the bull market. But the structure of how we got here is worth taking seriously. The market spent 2 days terrified of rates. Then 3 days drunk on a peace deal that doesn't actually exist yet. Every time the headline catalyst rotated, the indexes found a new reason to rally. And under the records, the leadership stories told a different story entirely. Walmart was specific about it. The company absorbed $175 million in higher-than-planned fuel costs in the first quarter alone, and warned that if oil stays elevated, retail prices are going up. The average gallons per fill-up at its gas stations fell below 10 for the first time since 2022. Nvidia was specific too. $80 billion in buyback authority, and a clean beat and raise produced flat, extended hours, and a lower regular session close. Both real, both signals. Neither stopped the records. Markets are closed Monday for Memorial Day. The next regular session is Tuesday. Traders return to several open questions. What actually happened on the Iran deal over the long weekend? Where oil and yields open after a 3-day futures gap? And whether the AI trade can find a bid now that even an $80 billion buyback couldn't move the bellwether. The headline is the record. The undertone is the consumer and the AI bellwether. Those two stories don't get less true because the indexes closed at 50,580. They just get carried into next week. We cover the markets on the days that actually move, with explainers when it helps. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. We'll see you next time.